Incredible moment, Vin Diesel discovers a server in tears. What he revealed changed everything. The restaurant buzzed with excitement, laughter spilling over like the fine wine that flowed from the elegantly designed bottles lining the walls. Lisa stood in the back, heart pounding as she juggled orders and attempted to recall the entrees she had long memorized. The enticing aromas wafted through the air, promising experiences of culinary delights, but the weight of her reality crushed her spirit like a heavy load. It was just another exclusive night for tech elites and Hollywood stars, a world where she felt invisible, an accessory in the backgrounds of their opulent gatherings. Emotionally drained, with sweat trickling down her back, Lisa felt herself moving on autopilot. Her mind was a tangled mess of worries about her family's finances, her looming rent, and her fervent, yet seemingly impossible, dream of becoming a chef. Each night she poured herself into the service, running plates and dodging requests, yet the feeling of being undervalued and overlooked loomed over her like a storm cloud. Did anyone see her? Did anyone care? As the chaos escalated, she felt the wave of pressure hit a breaking point. In a moment of quiet desperation, she slipped away to the back of the kitchen, allowing herself to breathe, but instead broke. Tears streamed down her cheeks as the fears she kept buried surfaced. The noise of the bustling restaurant faded away, and all she heard was her own harsh reality reverberating within her. She was stuck, bound to this grind while her dreams taunted her from a distance. Suddenly, the sounds of laughter shifted, and a new figure stepped into the chaotic kitchen, a towering presence that cut through the frenetic energy. Vin Diesel. Lisa froze, taken aback, her emotions spiraling into a frazzled mix of awe and disbelief. He approached her, softening the harshness of the busy environment with his genuine warmth. "What is going on?" His voice was deep and steady, offering a reprieve from the noise. Lisa found herself unearthing the crushed pieces of her heart, pouring out dreams of cooking, of creating dining experiences that reflect her culture and family. With every word, her anguish unfurled like a river, exposing her fear of not being enough, of never breaking out of her role as merely a server. Before she knew it, she spoke of navigating the culinary world, where success often felt inaccessible, especially for someone like her, bound by family responsibilities and constantly underestimated. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. His eyes sparkled with understanding. He offered her the lifeline she never knew she could grasp: mentorship. The glimmer of hope ignited something inside her, a flicker that she could navigate this industry and defy the chains of her past. Would he really help her? Could she finally stand up and claim her voice in a world where she had always felt silenced? Just as the weight began to lift, a shadow from her past walked into the restaurant, bringing all her insecurities rushing back. The panic surged. Was she strong enough to face them? Would she let her dreams slip away in fear's grasp, or find the courage to challenge her very existence? The future loomed ahead, dark and uncertain, as Lisa stood at a crossroads, trembling between the dreams she longed for and the haunting whispers of her past. The chaos of the restaurant seemed to fade into an eerie silence as Lisa felt the weight of her past collide with her glimmer of hope. The laughter and conversations of the guests became a distant hum, eclipsed by the pounding of her heart. Vin Diesel stood before her, a titan of the industry, offering something she had yearned for without even knowing it, a bridge to her dreams. "What do you think?" he encouraged gently, his presence as steady as a mountain. Each word he spoke pierced through the fog of her doubts. For a brief moment, Lisa allowed herself to imagine what the culinary world could be with her voice at the forefront. The images danced in her mind: plates filled with colors and flavors, the joyful expressions of customers savoring her creations, the sense of ownership that accompanied every dish that bore her name. As her thoughts swirled, a shadow flickered past her vision, and Lisa's breath caught in her throat. It was her old manager, Jeff, his gaze slicing through the hopeful silence like a knife. He sauntered over, his familiar smirk already forming. "Everything all right back here?" he asked, feigning concern but with a taunt in his eyes. Lisa's spirit waned under his scrutiny, the tight knot in her stomach tightening further. She turned her attention back to Vin, desperate to regain her focus. But now the moment felt fragile, less real. Jeff's mere presence unleashed a wave of self-doubt that threatened to drown her. Was she really capable of rising above her past? Feeling the pressure build inside her, Lisa took a deep breath and locked eyes with Vin, summoning the remnants of courage she had felt moments before. "Yes, I want this. No, I need this." Her voice trembled, but conviction coursed through her veins, propelling her forward. "Good," Vin replied, his voice a soothing balm against the turmoil inside her. "It's going to take work, but you have to believe in yourself. This is the first step." He paused, searching her eyes. "What's holding you back? What do you really want?" "Everything," she admitted, the words spilling from her. "Cooking is all I've ever wanted, but I'm terrified that I'll never be good enough. That I'll always be in the background, never breaking through to the front." Vin's expression softened, his understanding deepening. "That fear lives in all of us at some point. You can't let it control your choices. If the fear of not succeeding outweighs your desire to achieve that dream, then it's time to confront it head-on." His words ignited a flicker of resilience within her. But just as the embers of determination began to glow, Jeff interjected with a mocking laugh. "What's this, Lisa? Aspiring to be a chef? Remember, last time you tried to whip up something fancy, it ended in disaster." The laughter of nearby patrons echoed, as if the world itself conspired against her. Lisa felt her confidence waver, but then she grasped the moment to reflect her inner resolve. It was time to rise from the ashes of doubt. How could she allow someone like Jeff to dictate her journey? This was her chance not just to prove to him, but to herself. "You know what?" she said, a new tone lacing her voice. "I've learned more in these moments than I ever did under your wing, Jeff. I have a mentor now, someone who believes in me. I'm done hiding and apologizing for who I am and what I want." A shudder of uncertainty still lingered, but so did a burgeoning strength. The confrontation had spurred something vital within her. This was more than just about the kitchen, it was about claiming her worth and understanding her path as a chef. Vin's proud smile reflected her shifting spirit, empowering her to face the crowd with a newfound resolve. She took a step forward. "And I'm ready to show everyone what I can really do." But, even as confidence surged, Lisa could feel uncertainty gnaw at her. The moment may have marked a turning point, but shadows still loomed large. Would her sudden determination be enough? As she stood there, heightened emotions swirling around her, Lisa knew that the battle against her fear had just begun. The future held no guarantees, only the promise of hard work and relentless struggle. What lay ahead in the culinary world, and could she withstand the scrutiny of her past? The answers felt tantalizingly close yet frightfully out of reach. Would she embrace the chaos and charge into her new reality, or retreat into the familiar confines of fear? The time had come to confront everything she was running from. The air crackled with energy as Lisa took a step back into the bustling restaurant, her heart racing with the remnants of the confrontation. The echoes of laughter and conversation seemed both comforting and suffocating. She felt the weight of her choices slip through her fingers like fine sand. Could she truly embrace this dream that had eluded her for so long, or was she simply masking her uncertainty with bravado? Vin's words lingered in her mind, resonating like a mantra. "You have to believe in yourself." Yet, self-belief had always been a stranger. Lisa exhaled slowly, attempting to anchor herself in the moment, to ground her thoughts, and to quiet the sirens of doubt screaming in the back of her mind. Stepping into action was the only way forward. Retreating to the kitchen, she felt herself transform from passive observer to active participant. The clang of pots and pans, the sizzling of ingredients, and the rhythmic chopping of vegetables created an orchestra that fueled her determination. Nobody in this space knew the old Lisa, and with each passing second, she designed a new identity for herself, one punctuated by creativity and confidence. Her hands moved with purpose, instinct guiding her as she prepared a dish she'd dreamed about but never executed. This wasn't just about cooking, it was about a declaration of her intent. As she sliced through the ingredients, she identified flavors that would sing together, combinations that could surprise and delight. There was magic in finding a voice through food, and each chop was a therapy session, each stir building confidence, yet, the truth was not lost on her. The taste of fear still clung to her like a shadow. Jeff's taunts lingered in the corners of her mind, reminding her of her failures, a cacophony of self-doubt. What if it's not enough? Crept in like an insidious whisper. But this time, she refused to yield to that whisper. It had become essential for her to confront these thoughts not as truth but as obstacles, barriers she could dismantle one by one. As her dish came together, she glanced toward Vin, who was deep in conversation with one of his team members. His confidence ignited something within her. She needed to share what she had created. The thought invigorated her as urgency propelled her feet forward. She couldn't let fear quench her creativity again. The realization surged through her veins. This wasn't just a dish, it was an expression of her newfound identity. "Excuse me, Vin." Her voice came out steadier than she felt. As he turned to her, she presented the dish. "I made this. I'd love for you to try it." His brows arched slightly, intrigued. She watched as he took his first bite, the silence around him amplifying her heart's rapid pounding. Suddenly, the world contracted, drawn toward the moment that would define her courage. A smile unfurled on Vin's face, a genuine reflection of satisfaction. "This is fantastic, Lisa," he declared, and she felt each word cascade over her like sunshine after a storm. The affirmation seeped through her bones, filling her with a sense of belonging that she had swayed from for far too long. But just as exhilaration surged through her, the door swung open violently, revealing Jeff, whose presence once again cast a pall over her. His eyes narrowed as they settled on the clamp of success around her newfound confidence. Lisa felt the darkness resurface, challenging her triumph. "Trying a new gimmick, Lisa? Are you that desperate?" Jeff's voice was venomous, seeking to unravel her moment. Tension knitted itself between them like tight strings ready to snap. The room seemed to pause in anticipation, leaving Lisa suspended between empowerment and doubt. "Enough!" she exclaimed, a spark igniting within her at last. This was not just about standing up to Jeff, it was about standing firm in her resolve. "I'm not here for your approval anymore. This is my passion, my life. I'm not backing down." With a sense of finality, Lisa felt the full weight of her decisions crashing into place. The walls were closing in, but this time, she wasn't ready to break. The time for confrontation was now. Would she continue to uplift her dreams, or would she let Jeff's words reclaim their hold? The stakes had never been higher, and the moment of truth approached relentlessly. Every heartbeat pulsed through Lisa as she confronted Jeff. The restaurant buzzed around them, yet all sounds blended into a muted background, intensifying her focus. This was a battleground of wills, fear colliding with the fierce resilience she had just unearthed. The defiance coursing through her veins transformed her voice, turning it into a declaration instead of an anxious tremor. "Passion? Is that what you call this?" Jeff's mockery curled around her, laced with familiarity as if it reached into the depths of her insecurities. "You've always been a wannabe." The familiarity of his tone raised her hackles, igniting memories of other moments when she had shrunk under his jeering. But now, instead of the shame he once fed on, she found a spark, a tongue of fire that cut through the fog of doubt enveloping her. She remembered Vin's encouragement, the joy in his voice moments ago, and it became her armor. "I'm not pretending anymore, Jeff. I'm doing this for me, not for your approval. I want to let your opinion dictate my worth." Each word struck the air with clarity. She felt the collective weight of the kitchen staff behind her, an unspoken acknowledgement of her shift from subordinate to sovereign in her own narrative. For a moment, Jeff seemed unbalanced, his condescending bravado disrupted. This wasn't the reaction he was accustomed to getting from her. The silence that followed their exchange thickened. Lisa could almost feel the thrum of tension as eyes swiveled toward the two of them, the atmosphere electric. Then, as if recovering from his stun, Jeff laughed sharp, derisive. You think that dish is going to make you some kind of a chef? You will always just be a server. His gaze was a sharpened blade, aiming directly for her vulnerability, but now, with every pulse of her heart, the walls she had constructed started to crumble. His words flashed like knives, but she had built up resilience, a newfound strength forged through her recent struggle. No. I am more than what you think I am. And I know that. My journey is just beginning. With that assertion, she turned away from him slightly, pivoting toward Vin, whose eyes shone with an understanding that was almost palpable. Vin, I want to learn. I'm ready for more than this dream. I want to make it real. The challenge hung in the air, thick with expectation. This was the crossroads of her potential. The restaurant hummed with conversation, yet her world narrowed to this singular moment. Everything ahead was uncertain, but there lay the fire of possibility. Vin stepped closer, assessing her with a thoughtful demeanor. Believe me, it takes time and practice, but I see the passion you have. It can be your greatest asset. The path seemed daunting, filled with obstacles she had yet to imagine. Still, Lisa felt a sense of empowerment unfurl within her. The steadfastness in Vin's gaze told her she wasn't alone, she had the support to chase this dream. The lingering fear of Jeff's words began to dissipate like mist under the morning sun, replaced with a sense of purpose. All right, I'm ready, she declared, feeling a profound shift inside, yet, just as she embraced this moment, a shadow flickered in her peripheral vision. Jeff stood at the doorway, a wretched smirk curling on his lips. We'll see how long that lasts. But one lesson remains. You'll never be a real chef. With those chilling words echoing, Lisa's heart raced once again, reminding her that the struggle was far from over. She had taken a significant step forward, but now, it felt like a call to arms. Determined, she turned back to Vin with renewed intentions. Show me everything. I won't be sidelined anymore. As she resolved to dive into the heart of her journey, the ambience shifted, as if recognizing the gain of a warrior. Lisa felt the thrill of the unknown, the excitement of ambition, and ahead lay a colossal trial. She had made a vow, and the true tests awaited her, challenges that would either forge her or break her. What lay ahead would not just test her culinary skills, it would strip away layers, exposing her to truths about herself. The moment of revelation beckoned. Would she rise above every setback, or would the doubts resurface to snatch victory away from her grasp? The horizon stretched ahead, unfurling with untold possibilities. Lisa stepped back from the confrontation, her pulse still racing. The restaurant buzzed around her, but the din felt distant, as if she had crossed into a new realm where only she and Vin existed. The weight of Jeff's words lingered like a shadow, but the fire kindling within her wasn't easily extinguished. Are you really ready for this? Vin asked, his brow furrowed with concern mixed with encouragement. Lisa met his gaze, searching for assurance. His position as a chef carried authority, but she recognized that the journey ahead would be fiercely her own. Yes, she asserted, her voice steady. I'm done being sidelined. Vin smiled, a glimmer of pride reflecting in his eyes. Then let us get started. We have a lot of ground to cover. The kitchen transformed from a realm of chaos to one of potential. Vin guided her through tasks, chopping, sautéing, seasoning, as they fell into a rhythm that was both exhilarating and daunting. Each moment presented a new challenge, but Lisa welcomed them, hungry to absorb every morsel of knowledge. As she prepared her hands for the physical demands ahead, she felt the initial flicker of passion igniting into something larger, a commitment. Culinary arts is about more than just following recipes, Vin explained, encouraging her to deviate from strict formulas. It's about understanding flavors, textures, and creating something personal. His words sunk in deep, challenging her to rethink the boundaries she had unconsciously placed around herself. Would she continue to play it safe, or could she dare to infuse her dishes with her own story? The notion terrified and thrilled her simultaneously. Over the following days, Lisa immersed herself in the kitchen, each shift becoming a crucible of self-discovery. With every chopped onion or simmering sauce, she peeled away layers that had masked her true self. She stumbled, of course her knife skills were still rough, and her plating often lost the elegance Vin insisted on, but she pressed on. One evening after the dinner rush, Lisa stared at her latest dish, a twist on a classic she felt particularly proud of. Vin noticed her lingering and approached. "This is a strong attempt. You've taken a risk, and I applaud that." His encouragement delighted her, but in the back of her mind, Jeff's words slithered like a serpent. "But is it enough?" she thought, her confidence wavering. "What is it?" Vin asked, catching her hesitation. "Do you really think I can be a chef?" she asked, her voice barely more than a whisper, vulnerability unmasked in her questioning. "Absolutely," he affirmed with conviction. "But you have to stop questioning yourself. The only person holding you back is you." Hearing him say it struck a chord, sending her thoughts spiraling through the uncertainty of self-doubt versus self-belief. Could she truly stop that internal voice that echoed Jeff's derision? As the weeks passed, Lisa continued to evolve, her confidence climbing hand in hand with her skill. But every triumph felt precarious, as though she stood on a tightrope high above her past. Just as she began to feel a sense of grounding, a surprising incident knocked her off balance. During a shift where they hosted some high-profile guests, the kitchen erupted into a maelstrom of stress. A critical dish she had prepared went wrong, burned at the edges, flavors misaligned. Panic seized her as she watched Vin's brow furrow, frustration evident. In that stark moment, everything she had been working towards felt like it was teetering on the brink of collapse. "Whatever you do, don't let the pressure destroy your confidence," Vin instructed, his urgency palpable. But as she fought to regain her composure, the creeping grip of doubt seeped in. Had she really outgrown Jeff's perception, or had she merely patched over the cracks? The question echoed in her mind, threatening to unravel all she had achieved. As the night wore on with mounting pressure in the kitchen, Lisa realized that the real test lay not just in the food, but in storming the battlefield of her mind. She had been given a chance to change, but could she execute it unforgettably, even in the face of failure? In the quiet that followed the chaos, recollections of her confrontation with Jeff fought to surface. The lessons learned were palpable, her determination solidifying as the night progressed. Yet standing there, poised on the edge of uncertainty, Lisa questioned if she truly possessed the resilience to resist the regressive tide of her past. Her journey was morphing, but confronting those insecurities could either define her success or send her spiraling back to self-doubt. Would she seize the next challenge, or would the haunting specters of others' opinions continue to echo in her ears? The pivotal moment approached, and inside her, an undeniable urge simmered to confront not just her skills but the very beliefs that had bound her for so long. Things were about to heat up in the kitchen, and she would have to choose: stay the course or sink beneath the weight of expectations. Was this the moment she'd learned to embrace, or would it silence the very voice that had stirred her to fight? The answer loomed overhead, much like the salt-streaked air that coiled around the kitchen. The next step would reveal if she could emerge intact or falter under the mounting pressure. Lisa awoke to the sun slicing through her kitchen window, dispelling the remnants of a restless sleep filled with culinary nightmares. Each dream had been a manifestation of her anxieties: the sizzling pan gone cold, the delicate soufflé collapsing, and shadows of the past edging ever closer. She pushed herself out of bed, determined to transform that fear into fuel for the day ahead. Descending the stairs into the kitchen was more than just a routine, it was a rite of passage. The clatter of pots and pans, the aromatic dance of spices, and the rhythmic chopping of vegetables were no longer just sounds, they were the symphony of her rebirth. Today, she resolved to shake off the shadows of doubt. She would show not only Vin but also herself that she was more than the girl Jeff had belittled. On this particular day, Vin had announced they would be hosting a culinary competition for the junior chefs in training. It struck Lisa as both an opportunity and a challenge, an arena stripping every chef down to their rawest skill. They would be tasked with creating a dish representative of their culinary journey, and Lisa felt the weight of expectation settle heavily on her shoulders. Remember, it's not just about the food. It's about the story behind it, Vin instructed as they reviewed the competition guidelines. Her heart raced not from fear but from a burgeoning excitement. This was her moment to redefine herself, a chance to infuse her dish with the experiences that shaped her. Determined to capture her journey, Lisa spent the morning experimenting with flavors, something she used to fear. She plucked herbs from the garden, their vivid greens awakening her senses. The kitchen soon became a canvas, and she allowed her techniques to merge with intuition. She prepared a dish inspired by her childhood, a fusion of her family's recipes twisted to her present identity. It was bold, colorful, and undeniably hers. As preparations unfolded, the competitive energy bounced between the chefs, a palpable mix of ambition and camaraderie. Yet anxiety wormed its way back. What if her dish fell flat? What if it antagonized her insecurities, proving Jeff right all over again? That persistent voice nudged at her, instilling doubt that she had thought she buried. Focus, Lisa. Channel that energy into your cooking, Vin's voice sliced through her spiraling thoughts as he observed her meticulous movements. He sensed her unease, stepping closer to offer quiet support that both soothed and prepared her for battle. When the competition began, Lisa gathered her composure like a precious tool. As ingredients sizzled and mingled, she let the aromas envelop her and weave a narrative. This dish would be an ode not just to flavor, but to the struggle she endured to arrive at this very moment. Each whisk, each dash of sauce was a defiance against the past peering over her shoulder. Time sped by, and as she plated her masterpiece, the environment transformed into a blur. It became a space where she was completely present, free of the encroaching specter of Jeff's judgments. She stepped back, finally arriving at a moment of clarity. No longer was she simply a competitor. Lisa was a storyteller, her food the vessel for rebirth. And then it came, the critique from judges. With bated breath, she absorbed their comments, each word delving deeper than mere culinary assessment. Their faces revealed intrigue and surprise as they sampled her dish. Lisa's heartbeat quickened. "Your flavors tell a story," one judge remarked, "and they are diverse yet harmonious." The validation rippled through her. She felt the tendrils of self-doubt begin to loosen their oppressive grip. Vin looked proud, nodding in encouragement. The realization struck, she had taken the bold leap not just in competing, but in sharing who she was through her dish. As they prepared to announce the winners, a tension clasped around Lisa's throat. Whether she won or lost felt almost secondary now. Her journey had already shifted, she had embraced her fears rather than being consumed by them. Then, as the judge lifted the microphone to reveal the results, a piercing thought crossed her mind: the most significant victory might not be a trophy but the internal battle she just began to win. But as applause erupted and the atmosphere shifted with anticipation, one question lingered: could she sustain this new confidence when faced with the inevitable trials ahead? With the realization that tomorrow would demand even greater strength, she braced herself for whatever challenge life might serve next. The applause faded as the judges announced the winner. Lisa felt her heart race for a moment, her mind suspended in anticipation. She had dared greatly, yet whether victory awaited her felt bathed in uncertainty. But when she heard her name and the winner is Lisa, euphoria surged through her, mingling with disbelief. For a brief moment, she stood frozen, absorbing the cheers and applause. It wasn't simply the accolade, it was the acknowledgement of her journey. In that spotlight, she felt a new stitch fastening the frayed seams of her persona, bridging the gap between who she was perceived to be and who she aspired to become. But with victory came an unshakable tension. What did it mean for her future? As the spotlight dimmed, she joined Vin and the other chefs for a celebratory toast. The jubilant atmosphere thickened with laughter and camaraderie. Yet, Lisa found herself retreating inward, scrutinizing the shreds of potency that this win had unraveled. What now? She muttered under her breath, part awe, part fear. She could feel Jeff's specter lurking just outside her frame of reference, a sly reminder of the past battles she had fought. The last thing she wanted was to revert to being the girl who only lived in a shadowed corner of the kitchen. Lisa, stop overthinking it. Enjoy this moment, Vin chided gently, catching the glimmer of discomfort lurking in her eyes. He had taken on the role of mentor and without realizing it had become a keystone in her burgeoning identity. You deserve this. His words acted as an anchor. They grounded her, but they also illuminated a new problem, expectations. She would have to navigate a path that others might expect her to walk, but which she struggled to map out in her mind. The next day, Vin summoned the team early, the usual hustle of breakfast preparing resonating with more excitement than usual. We're moving forward, he said, startling the room's chatter into a focused silence. I'm putting you in charge of some junior workshops. You'll mentor them in creating their dishes, just as you did. The fear and thrill cascaded over Lisa like a torrent. Mentoring someone? Could she step into that role? As she heard her own heartbeat thrum in her ears, she cursed herself for the sudden intrusion of doubt. She had fought too hard to let the anxiety resurface now. Me? Leading workshops? She finally managed to voice, her brow furrowing with incredulity. But deep within her, a flicker lit. Could this be the chance to solidify her newfound confidence, to not only mentor but inspire? Yes, you, Vin smiled, a knowing sparkle in his eyes. You have a story to tell, and those juniors need to hear it. The notion both terrified and excited Lisa. She felt as though Vin was handing her the keys to her next chapter, a pivotal role that came with responsibility. But could she rise to the occasion? All at once, the weight of the opportunity pressed down on her. What if she faltered? What if she couldn't inspire them as they had inspired her? When the workshop day arrived, the kitchen buzzed with anticipation. She stood before her group, a cohort of eager faces looking up at her. Today, I want to talk about flavors and stories, she began, her voice wavering but resolute. Each glance conveyed hope, yearning, and a flicker of doubt, mirroring her own journey. As she engaged with them, sharing her failures and triumphs, a realization dawned: she was no longer merely recounting her battles, she was equipping others for theirs. Yet as she stepped back to watch their creations unfurl, a disquiet nagged at her. She had embraced vulnerability, but would they do the same? Would they hear her story and dare to unearth their own? Just then, as Lisa sensed their eyes mirroring her earlier anxieties, a newcomer walked in the unmistakable face of Jeff, flashing an arrogant smile that felt like a jab in her newfound resolve. What a quaint little gathering, he sneered, and suddenly, Lisa felt all her reassurances shatter. The ground beneath her shifted. This was a confrontation she had avoided for too long. The path she thought was clearing now veered into a storm, one that would test every ounce of resolve and authenticity she had fought to build. With her heart racing, Lisa recognized, it was time to confront the shadows more than ever. Would she rise again, or was this moment destined to unravel everything she had worked towards? Lisa felt the weight of Jeff's presence like a leaden anchor pulling her deeper into her doubts. The high hopes she had built during the workshop shattered with an ease that both infuriated and terrified her. As she locked eyes with him, the familiarity of past wounds opened like scabs. What do you want, Jeff? She managed to ask, her voice a fragile whisper. The enthusiasm of her earlier teaching now suffocated beneath his disdain. That he stepped closer, his arrogance a palpable force. Just came to see how the winners are faring, he mocked, glancing with feigned curiosity toward the junior chefs. Must be nice receiving praise for mediocrity. Laughter erupted from his cohorts, and Lisa's stomach sank. These were the moments she had spoken about, moments where authenticity could deflect criticism. Yet, standing there, every word she had shared mere moments earlier felt like a house of cards waiting to tumble. Enough. Vin's voice cut through the oppressive atmosphere, solid and unyielding. He stepped between Lisa and Jeff, a protective barrier. This is her moment, not yours. You're here to create, not to belittle the effort of others. Lisa's heart surged with gratitude for Vin, but it was tangled with a sense of urgency. She needed to confront Jeff not just as a figure from her past but as an instant in her ongoing journey. You know what, Jeff? She edged forward, her voice gaining strength. You could learn a thing or two about respect and empowerment. You were good, but you relied on tearing others down. Surprise flickered across Jeff's face, along with something akin to fear. Silence enveloped them, the weight of her words piercing through the tension. But on the heels of that bravery came a wave of self-doubt. Was she strong enough to stand her ground? The workshop participants watched, their expressions a blend of shock and admiration. Lisa felt their energy rush toward her like wings, buoying her spirit. A desire to encourage them surged back, stronger than ever. She pivoted to face the group. Let us remember why we're here, she declared, her confidence growing. We create because every dish tells a story, our stories. And none of us should shrink back or hide because of someone else's opinion. She caught Vin's encouraging nod from the corner of her eye, then turned back to Jeff. The simmering bravado began to dissolve, leaving a vulnerability he was no longer prepared to navigate. This is how we grow. Not by tearing each other down but by learning from one another. For a brief moment, she thought she saw a flicker of recognition in Jeff's eyes, but it was quickly masked by frustration. You think you can just dismiss me? You're in way over your head, Lisa. Maybe, she admitted, her heart racing as she leaned fully into her resolve. But I'm not backing down. You can either choose to rise or keep pushing others down, the choice is yours. Lisa turned back to her group, their eyes wide, reflecting the unexpected turnaround she had initiated. In that moment she claimed her strength. They deserved a leader who would drag them all out of the shadows Jeff epitomized. The vulnerability she felt moments ago morphed into empowerment. This was more than her victory, it was about everyone around her allowing their narratives to be unfurled in defiance of someone who thrived on fear. Now, let us showcase what we can create together. She declared, rallying her group back to focus, pushing aside the moment's turbulence. Each face turned eager, revitalized by the commitment they had rallied around the act of creation, the act of standing together, but as they plunged back into their culinary tasks with renewed vigor, Lisa caught a glimpse of Jeff's sneering retreat. Doubts flickered like fireflies in the back of her mind. Had she really accomplished this confrontation? Or had she merely survived? In the following days, the challenges continued to loom larger than life amid the kitchen's warmth. Would her stand against Jeff hold steady? More importantly, would she find ways to continually inspire these future chefs to embrace their narratives authentically? As she prepped for the next session, doubt crept back in. Just then, a message dinged on her phone, an invitation to a prestigious culinary retreat. The stakes had just raised, and Lisa realized, the parallels of her past and the expectations of her newfound role were intermingled with opportunities that could either solidify or shatter her resolve. What awaited her at the retreat? The door to a new chapter began to creak open, and Lisa was caught between exhilaration and trepidation. Would her choice to confront the shadows prepare her for whatever lurked in the light ahead? Lisa couldn't shake the nervous energy thrumming through her veins as she examined the invitation on her phone once again. The culinary retreat wasn't just another workshop, it promised connections with renowned chefs and masterclasses aimed at shaping culinary visionaries. But now, with the weight of confrontation still fresh, the prospect felt daunting. She paced the kitchen, her sneakers squeaking against the tiled floor, a rhythmic reminder of her anxiety. Each step echoed her internal dialogue, rehashing her recent confrontation with Jeff and the mockery that had once silenced her. Was she truly ready to represent herself, her newfound authority even, at such an esteemed gathering? The fear lurked behind every thought like an unresolved recipe, half-formed and teetering on chaos. The junior chefs bustled nearby, engrossed in their tasks, their laughter and chatter filling the air like a protective shield. Lisa paused to watch them, caught between apprehension and inspiration. How had she managed to instill even a fraction of confidence in them while struggling to believe in her own? The sweet embrace of community they decultivated felt invaluable, yet fragile. Just then, Vin entered the kitchen, shaking her from her reverie. "You seem lost in thought," he remarked, his brow raised in concern. "I got an invitation to a culinary retreat. It's a big opportunity, she admitted, crossing her arms. But I also feel unprepared. What if I flop? Isn't that the risk with any leap forward? Vin questioned, his tone steady. Every time you step out of your comfort zone, you're risking failure. But every misstep is a lesson. Just look at the progress in this kitchen. His words ignited a spark of possibility. Lisa thought about the dynamic they had built among their group. Their passion was palpable, they had come together as a cohort, striving to break boundaries and embrace creativity under her guidance. This was exactly what she would carry into the retreat. Maybe I need to embrace failure, too, she mused, feeling a flicker of determination rise. If I challenge myself to step into the ring, then that could fuel the fire for these future chefs. That's the spirit, Vin encouraged, nodding approvingly. Remember, it's not about being perfect, it's about showing up and allowing yourself to be vulnerable. That's where real growth happens. Lisa found herself smiling at Vin's unwavering support, a comforting reminder that she wasn't alone in this journey. Yet, the retreat loomed ahead, an imposing wave of uncertainty. Could she recapture the courage she had summoned in front of Jeff, or would the imposter syndrome rear its ugly head once more? As preparations for the workshop continued, Lisa spent her evenings researching techniques to enhance her skills, a quiet fire growing within her. Each new article or video brought fresh discoveries, igniting her passion anew. Just when she felt equipped, however, an unsettling thought resurfaced. What if her previous victories were just flukes? Was there strength in acknowledging that she too, a teacher, still had mountains to climb? She shook her head and pushed back against her doubts. Empowerment had to begin within, and she needed to believe that she, too, was worthy of growth. The day of the retreat finally arrived, bright and cloudless, a surreal contrast to the storm of emotions swirling inside her. As she entered the retreat center, she was met with gleaming kitchens and the intoxicating smell of spices. Each corner whispered tales of culinary legends that had shaped the industry. The magic felt palpable, and yet she felt like an outsider walking into a crowd of accomplished chefs. Suddenly, a familiar voice directed her attention. Jeff stood on the other side of the room, his expression inscrutable. The tension whipped back, paralyzing her in place. Lisa inhaled deeply, the sharp air filling her lungs with resolve. The moment of truth had arrived. Would she confront the remnants of her past, or would she choose to channel her energy into forging new connections and learning? With a firm grip on her decision, she stepped forward, ready to face whatever awaited her, including the shadows of doubt. The energy of the retreat thrummed around her, and she understood it would be a pivotal moment in her journey. What were the boundaries she was willing to challenge, and what revelations would emerge when she least expected them? As Lisa stepped deeper into the culinary retreat, she felt the air thick with anticipation. The vast kitchens buzzed with excitement, a melange of star chefs, aspiring culinary artists, and mentors filled the space. Each pair of eyes ignited a spark within her. This wasn't simply a chance to showcase her skills, it was a moment to redefine her narrative and step firmly into her heritage as a chef. Just as she squared her shoulders, the familiar figure of Jeff invaded her peripheral vision again. His presence was a stark reminder of her past fears, but rather than succumbing to that memory, Lisa found a new resolve bubbling beneath her skin. With each step, her heart beat in synchrony with her purpose. She was here to prove not only her worth but to demonstrate the commitment she had made to herself to conquer her insecurities. Throughout the day, the workshops unfolded, each designed to challenge both body and mind. Renowned chefs showed techniques that pushed her out of comfort zones she had once clung to like life rafts. She listened intently, soaking in the vibrant atmosphere, reminding herself that the craft wasn't merely an affair of perfection, it was about conveying her story through every dish. By the time the competition commenced, Lisa could feel both excitement and anxiety swelling within her. The task was simple: create a dish inspired by one's unique culinary journey. Short of a battle cry, she had only to reflect on her experiences. Stepping forward, Lisa channeled the memories of her family's gatherings, the laughter, the spices they cherished. Each recollection fueled her passion. With a turnaround of ingredients whipping under her careful hands, Lisa poured her heart into every slice, every sizzle. The aromas came together like a harmony she had never achieved before. Each ingredient mirrored a chapter of her life, complexities and all. As she plated her dish, vibrant hues danced on the plate, telling not just a story, but her story: the triumphs, the failures, the relentless pursuit of self-acceptance. Finally, the time came for judging. The esteemed panel of chefs moved from dish to dish, offering critiques that Lisa embraced fully, her body buzzing with the electric possibility of acceptance. "Your flavors are bold, and the balance is remarkable," one judge remarked. "This dish truly reflects who you are and what you aim to convey." Each compliment unfurled the weight she had carried, revealing layers of confidence she hadn't known resided within her. As the judges prepared to announce the winner, Lisa held her breath, aware of the tumultuous journey that had led her here. She recognized in that moment that whether she won or not was no longer central to her existence. She had transformed into someone vibrant, rooted deeply in her identity, facing the world without fear. "And the winner is Lisa." The announcement rang through the kitchen, and the applause enveloped her like a warm embrace. Her eyes shimmered with tears that held years of pain, frustration, and resolve. She felt the floodgates of worthiness burst open, solid confidence surging forth. It wasn't just recognition, it was affirmation of her hard-fought journey, a testament to her courage. As she accepted her award, Lisa turned to see Vin, pride radiating from his expression. He had encouraged her steps, stood beside her as she navigated through both shadow and light. "You did it," he mouthed, and she could say the same for herself. She had not merely succeeded, she had conquered the internal battles that sought to define her. Mentorship ebbed through her being, eclipsing the doubts once sown by Jeff. Days later, as she returned to her kitchen, Lisa was irrevocably transformed. The experience at the retreat had not just validated her culinary aspirations, it had inspired her to become a mentor like Vin. No longer hidden in the shadows of her past, she embraced her role with renewed vigor, hosting workshops with the juniors, guiding them through the labyrinth of flavor and identity. As nourishment for herself, she inhaled the fragrant air of the kitchen, and looked over her shoulder, confident that only empowered individuals heal together. She was now the representation of resilience, a skillful chef ready to mold the next generation. This was her moment. She had not just achieved her professional goals, she had truly become the chef she had always aspired to be. Her journey was no longer just hers, it thrived in the stories and creations of those she mentored. From server to chef, from doubt to certainty, Lisa had proven that transformation is steeped in authenticity and courage. And now, for those watching, don't wait even one more second to capture the next wave of transformation. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, because your support matters. Comment below your reactions and theories about Lisa's spectacular journey. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful conclusion. You need to show your support. It's the moment to celebrate personal overcoming stories together.